Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boys Patrick and John back at it with another movie review. I just had
Oh
a
no.
sparkling water. So
And
this time around we watched a little movie called Poor Things, came out 2023. Patrick, you want to give us a little bit of background on the movie?
a little bit of background on the movie.
Bah,
Yeah,
bah,
it came
bah.
out a little bit of background. It came out, let's see if I have this right. It had its premiere at Venice in September, but it came out statewide in December. It's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's got some other works under his thumb. Mostly known for The Favorite and Killing of a Sacred Deer, as well as The Lobster, among other movies. This is his newest feature. Starring Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, and Rami Youssef, just to name probably the top billing of this movie. It follows Emma Stone's Bella Baxter. She navigates being a woman in the time that she's alive under peculiar circumstances. I think you'd agree, John.
Yeah, no, I mean definitely these are among the most peculiar circumstances. I'm gonna jump right in. I'm gonna give my initial thoughts on the movie. Came up with this while I was watching the movie, and I think like to this day, it's just the most accurate way to describe it. I'm not
Hmm.
sure what's happening, but I think I love it. It is such just a mental trip this movie takes you on.
Hmm.
And not that it's not on the nose, it's got a very feminist agenda, obviously.
For sure, for sure.
But it did such a good job of playing the hand. I didn't even realize it had a feminist agenda to it. Like,
Hmm.
it didn't just say,
Int-
women are, powerful beings and we can do anything we want on our own. It didn't say all men are jackasses and horrible and should be the villains of the movie. The men in this movie are extremely well written and complex for the most part. The woman doesn't start off as some what's the term, Mary Sue, where she's just girl boss 100% of the time. You really get to
mhm.
see her form into someone who's quite formidable in their own right. And
Mhm.
man, just the character development is great. The character interactions are great. The way the movie portrays itself is phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to watch this like six, seven, eight more times to really know what I just saw.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to one of these types of movies. I watched this and immediately I was like, "Oh, this is like an artsy movie." I haven't
Mm-hmm.
watched one of these in a long time.
Right.
So, I'm very used to not fully understanding what's going on and, needing time to digest it, which is why I'm glad we didn't review this the day after I watched it because I'm not sure I could give my honest opinions on it. Um, but I'm very much in line with you where I really enjoyed what I was watching. I think it all looks very visually
Mm-hmm.
stunning. I think the cinematography and the
Absolutely.
set design, the prop design, the costuming, the makeup, all of it was just phenomenal. Especially like Willem Dafoe, the way his patchwork face looked, it was very Frankenstein-y and
Mm-hmm.
it was incredible. And there's plenty of different other things like what was it, the dog with the head of a duck or something like
Yeah,
that towards
plenty
the
of
beginning of the
misfit
movie.
animals all throughout the movie.
Hmm. And it didn't feel, I mean, it felt out of place, but by design, so it didn't really feel out of place with the
Right.
world that this movie is set in. So I just got to give mad props to all of that.
No,
But yeah,
it's go on, go on.
I gotta shout out, you already mentioned, the writing is phenomenal. It
Mm-hmm.
is very much like Bella is learning how to be in control of herself and not let men tell her what to do,
Right.
which is like 75% of the movie, probably 60% of the movie actually. But the way we get there and the circumstances and the situations that she encounters on that journey with the different characters, like Rami Youssef's character and Mark Ruffalo's character, it's you know if you've seen the signs, then you know what's happening. But there's a point where Mark Ruffalo says, "I miss the way that you talk in such peculiar phrases," or something like that. And just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, "Oh, that feels nasty," and it's by design.
Yeah. No,
And
for sure.
and as creepy and dark as it does seem to get, there is a level of levity here that kind of helps you digest everything. And it is, you know, it has a serious message to it, but it kind of delivers it in a way that will make you laugh here and there too.
See, and
So,
so I'm gonna piggyback off what you said there and kind of tie it into what I was talking about, how it has an obvious feminist agenda, but it doesn't feel like it does. Because
mm,
you're right, the entire movie is Bella questioning the males in her life and who she should listen to and what makes her happy. And I didn't even view it as, a feminist thing. I was just like, yes, we should question authority in our lives. We shouldn't just do what we're told and take orders for granted. I didn't view it as her coming to herself as a woman. I viewed it as an infant becoming an adult, and it just plays so well.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, do you want to know how I described this movie to myself when I finally was piecing together what's going on?
Yeah, let me hear it. What you got?
This is adult, overtly sexual Pinocchio.
All right. I'm
Tell me
glad
this isn't Pinocchio.
I'm glad we went in the same way because I
Yes!
had mad Pinocchio vibes,
Yeah,
you know.
so brief synopsis of the movie. You got Willem Dafoe as a Frankenstein looking Giuseppe.
Before you get too far, and are we spoiling this?
Yeah, I mean, from here on out, expect spoilers. We gave pretty spoiler free review up until now to show we like
Hmm.
it. It's got a lot of
Go watch it.
merit to it. If you don't want spoilers, tune out now. But yeah, so you got Willem Dafoe as a Frankenstein esque doctor. And we're just going full spoilers here, by the way.
Yeah. Full spoilers. Get out
So
now.
the
If you don't want it.
character played by Emma Stone, we start off the movie with her killing herself, and we kind of just jump forward in time. Later, we learn that she dies, but she was pregnant with a baby, and Willem Dafoe fishes her out of the lake she jumped into and puts the baby's brain in the adult body, and we get to see an infant with the mind of the adult discovering her sexuality, starting off as they use the R word a lot, but she's just a child. But she's starting off as a less than intelligent individual, and as she forms to adulthood, you really see that she, comes to her own.
Mhm.
But it's one of those, like, everywhere she turns is a bad influence, and she gets to interact with them and see, like, oh, this is an interesting view of the world, and oh, this is an adventure I'm on. But man, oh me, oh my, she just goes on a Pinocchio style adventure and she learns right and wrong and what is good and bad, and it's so enjoyable.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I gotta give mad shout out to Emma Stone portraying Bella Baxter. She crushes it from like the get-go. Like you see her and it's like, yeah, that's what a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old would act like in an adult's body.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way that she's delivering all of the lines that are, well written, but it's like you clearly don't have a good grasp on the English language, like at all,
Yeah,
which is, by design.
what they're going for.
Hmm. So she's able to deliver that perfectly, and and she's winning a bunch of awards for this, and I think it's very well justified in that, I think.
Yeah, and on
Um,
top of that, all so while it's a child developing an adult's body, they did really well. As the movie goes on, she goes from infant to full blown adult, and it's a very subtle change over time where it's like, oh, you weren't talking like that a half an hour ago. That's
mhm.
nice.
Yep.
But there's obviously a point where she discovers her own sexuality, and it's exactly what you'd expect a child to do. Like, oh, this feels really good. I should do it all the time and to other people, make them happy
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
And as like overtly sexual as this is, I mean, there's breasts everywhere. There's plenty of peni.
Hmm.
At no point would I actually have considered this movie sexy. Like, it was, I was watching the movie with my wife, and at no point, despite all the overt sexual acts, where we're like, oh yeah, this is getting us in the mood. No, this was just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is happening in the movie, and it makes sense, and it's a good movie, but it's never played for actual sex appeal. It's all very intrinsic to the design of the movie.
Right. Hmm. Full agreed on that. And, a lot of it too, especially towards the beginning, it's like, well, that's technically still like the body or the mind of a teenager
Yeah,
in that
no,
body.
when everyone
Like,
was really attracted to her early on, and then
hmm.
you learn she's literally a child, and like you said, the disgusting line of "You've lost the cute way you used to talk." It's like, dude, you were
Hmm.
trying to bang a 6 year old.
Yeah.
You were trying to bang a 6 year old again, I should say.
And I feel the need to point out that people were like trying to like take shots at this movie, like, they showed like pedophilia. This movie supports pedophilia. It's like, no,
No, you
just
missed
because
the
it's in the
point
movie
entirely.
does not mean it supports it. It's very much criticizing that,
Right.
you know.
Like, he is looked down upon by everyone else in the movie.
It's very abundantly clear. So there's no misinterpreting that unless you're trying to misinterpret it at that point, you know.
Now, while I'll admit this movie did get me to laugh on a couple of occasions, namely when she slaps him at the dance hall and he goes, "Ow!"
Yeah.
There were multiple other jokes they made, For instance, I don't know the character's name, but when he's going up the stairs and he trips,
Oh,
or like
yeah.
there's 100 little simple gags like that, and it's like the rest of the scene is very serious, and then
Hmm.
suddenly you just throw a joke at me, and I didn't know if I was supposed to laugh or not. Like it didn't ruin the scene by any means, but I was like, was that a joke or was this just like a real slice of life moment?
When do I laugh? Yeah.
Uh,
No, I get
so
that.
it was a little confusing in that department, but again, not didn't deter from the movie at all. It was just
Hmm.
weird. I didn't know if it was a drama or a comedy at times.
Yeah. No, there's a moment that has been kind of making the rounds in social media that I've, seen but out of context, so I didn't really fully get it. But there's a moment where Bella's asking Mark Ruffalo's character a question, and it's not long after they leave Willem Dafoe. But she's like repeating the question because Mark just does not understand what Emma Stone's character is saying, and he kind of laughs and like looks at the camera a little bit. He's like very clearly breaking character, and it's like, I get it. This is an absurd premise, and it's funny.
Okay, another thing I real quick gotta talk about. Sorry, hard sidetrack. It
Mm,
is weird how much when she's a child she's obsessed with like killing things and stabbing eyeballs. Like
mm,
she's given a
hmm.
frog to kind of play with, and like, oh look, we caught a frog. She smashes it and then laughs at the dead body. Willem Dafoe is doing some kind of Frankenstein operation, and she's allowed to play with the cadaver. She just keeps stabbing the eyeballs, and
Hmm.
it's just unsettling how when you give a child an adult body, they will just commit murder.
Yeah, but like jumping off of that, I think her having that background of being raised by Willem Dafoe's God character, which love that she
Also,
called him
yeah,
God.
love that he's called God. That is a great twist for well, not even a twist, but
It's
you
not
know,
even it's not even that other people call him God, it's just that
yeah,
she did because she didn't have any other way to call him really.
right.
Um,
And it's not
but I
even like
love
forced, where it's a
no,
viable nickname for him. His name is
yeah,
Godfrey.
Godwin, Godwin
Him
Baxter.
too.
Okay. But I love that her being raised by Willem Dafoe's character, who is a teacher who does know a lot about the human anatomy, is a scientist by all stretches of the imagination, kind of leads her to lead into like be a more analytical thinker.
Mm-hmm.
And as she gets more and more into reading and reading philosophy, it's like, yeah, that feels pretty in line with how the daughter of
Right.
someone like that would grow up.
Comes off very naturally. Loved that.
Hmm. Agreed. But
So, real quick,
yeah,
let's widen the discussion a bit. What's your favorite character in the movie?
favorite character.
Because I've got mine
Um,
picked out, and I want to see if we match.
Gosh, hold on. Let me look at the cast here. This you've thrown me not a curveball, because I'll be able to answer it, I'm sure. But um, let's see.
Okay, I'm not gonna remember her name, but to fill the blank air, I'm going. It's
Okay.
uh, it's the old lady on the boat. Just
Okay.
she knocked it out of the fucking bark. So Bella
Hmm.
eventually takes a boat ride with Mark Ruffalo, and it's an unpleasant boat ride. They're together kind of as a couple, but they're definitely in the process of breaking up. And
Well,
Bella
she
makes
was
some friends.
essentially kidnapped
Yeah,
and brought onto the boat, so she's not there with on her against her will, you know.
yeah, but she goes around the boat, makes some friends. One is a young gentleman, some kind of what was his philosophy?
Cynic.
Cynic. He was a cynic, yes.
Hmm.
And an elderly woman who can only be described as like your great aunt. Just the feathery bonnet,
Yeah.
the pompous dress, and just got this perfect expression. I don't even know how to describe it. It's this sense of like a warm-hearted, caring face, while also a distant, uncaring face, and it just doesn't change no matter what she's saying or what scene she is in.
Hmm.
And she plays this expression so well, and she teaches her about philosophy, and she shares some books with her. There's this one scene that's particularly great where Bella's reading books with her, and Mark Ruffalo comes up. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" And Bella's like, "You should read this book," and hands it to him, and he throws it overboard into the sea. Nobody reacts at all. The old lady sitting next to Bella just passes her another book. Face doesn't change at all. Just keeps smirking at his ass. Then he throws that one into the sea. Some time goes by. Then he tries to throw the old lady into the sea. And her young male compatriot comes along and is like, "Hey, stop! You're trying to commit murder." And she's just like, "No, this seems like an adventure." He's like, "Oh, okay, do go on then." And he just lets the murder play out before
Yeah.
he's eventually arrested and like thrown in the bar. I don't know. It's unclear what his punishment was, but she just, even faced with her own mortality, just sits there smirking the whole time, and it plays so well.
So I'm glad that you really liked her because she's one of my top two picks right now.
No, she was
Brief
my number
include,
one,
yeah,
guaranteed.
it's her. Despite how kind of a disgusting of a person he is, Mark Ruffalo's character really got a lot of laughs out of me.
Yeah,
But
he does
also,
get a lot of laughs, and he is a
mhm,
compelling character, I will admit. You're allowed to love the hateable.
right. And then I also liked the leader of the no other word for it, the brothel. Um,
Oh, right, right,
she
right.
killed me when she bit Emma Stone's ear the first time. I
Hmm.
was so caught off guard with that, and Emma Stone's reaction is perfect. She's like, "Oh," it's like that killed me. But also that scene that you mentioned where Mark Ruffalo starts pushing the old lady, and she's like, "Oh, we're going on an adventure."
Yep, and she's just like going to her death willingly because this could be fun.
Hmm. Yeah, and the guy's like, "Oh no, she's ready for her murder."
Yeah,
Like
he's just
he's just
like,
totally
"Please,
fine with
yeah,
it.
okay. I thought this was without her consent, but do go on."
She's like, "Oh, yeah, no, she's ready to die."
No, that was
And like he's pushing her
hilarious.
so slowly. It's great. It's
The
such a funny bit.
brothel, I want to say scene, but it's really more of a portion of the movie.
Hmm.
Uh, it played well. I loved the brothel owner in the sense that she was definitely manipulating Bella into doing things, but you could tell she wasn't evilly manipulating her. It was like, I need to sustain my business. You will help me do that, but at the same time, I care about you, but not as much as my own business, kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah. There's a little bit of that kind of also. Let me teach the ropes a little bit,
Yeah,
kind of. I
it
think.
was a very complex relationship they had.
Hmm.
But again, like no character in this movie, Mark Ruffalo aside, is inherently good or bad. They all are making decisions based on a complex reality. And man, this was just such a fun way to explore these decisions in people's lives. One thing we
Hmm.
forgot to note, it's only revealed like halfway through the movie. It's a very steampunk universe.
Oh yeah. No, I really dug that. I made a note that the world, the steampunk kind of mixes really well with the patchwork, like
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein aesthetic that Willem
Absolutely.
Dafoe's
That played
character
so
has.
well there.
Yeah, because like I'm looking into a little bit of the source material because this is based on a book. I forgot to mention that. Um, but the book is notably, I don't think it is a steampunk aesthetic. It's set like in a normal-ish, older, world in the past. So good decision, good creative choice. I really like it a lot. That it's not just Willem Dafoe's like lab that's kind of patchwork. It's the other steampunky stuff.
But yeah, I really, like I said, this is just a retelling of Pinocchio, and I love it. Its infant goes out into the world and experiences everything and becomes a good person after, all their discoveries and realizations. I think
Hmm.
it plays really well. I think it's a really unique telling of a classic tale. And I can't say I'm going to watch it again in the near future, but I can say I loved every second of this.
Yeah, I one more note that I want to throw out
Yeah,
there
go ahead.
is that there's throughout the movie starts with Emma Stone's character jumping off a cliff into the ocean, and it's kind of presented without context. You get
Mm-hmm.
context like 20 minutes later, but it's like I didn't even think about it, and then they said, "Oh yeah, she jumped into an ocean. That's where I found her." And it's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And then like 20 minutes later, it reveals, "Oh yeah, the infant brain that I put inside her was her child." It's like, "Oh, okay, interesting." And then we like slowly get drip fed Bella's past self's
Mm-hmm.
life story, and then it all kind of comes together at the end when her husband from her past life comes back, and it's like I didn't think I needed this. I was fine with the journey we were on, but this is cool too.
So
Um,
I'm gonna try and sum up the ending in just one sentence here, and let's see how this goes.
mm,
So the ending: God is dead. Bella
mm,
Baxter is living with her lesbian lover in his estate, at which her ex fiance also resides. and her own self mother's husband has been implanted with the brain of a goat who now is their pet.
Mm.
That's an
Sounds
accurate sentence, right? Like that all happened.
that all happens. That is
Yeah.
the thing that happened.
If that sentence intrigues you at all, I highly recommend you go check out this movie.
Hmm.
And if that doesn't, what the hell's wrong with you?
Now, yeah. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I really do like this movie a lot. I think I'm more likely to go back and watch this than it sounds like you are, which is totally fine. This was a really good movie. This is
Oh
making
yeah.
me. I haven't watched any of Yorgos's other works, but this has really convinced me to go
It's
back and check
definitely
some of them out.
sold me on him as a director. Or is it her
Mhm.
as a director? I don't know the
It's a
first
him.
name. It's a him?
Yorgos.
That's not the
He's
last
Greek.
name? Okay. My bad,
Yorgos
Yorgos.
Lanthimos.
And yeah, can't wait for your next work. Definitely gonna go back and check out your other ones because there's some merit to what you're doing there.
You're a smart fella, not a fart smeller, Yorgos.
Anyway, Patrick, any concluding thoughts?
Nope. This is streaming on Hulu, so anyone who's watching this that has a Hulu subscription or Disney Plus, if you're in a foreign land, you have no excuse not to watch this.
Yeah,
It's a good time. Go watch it.
highly recommend. Couldn't recommend enough. I recommend it. Guys, that's going to do it for us this time. If you're enjoying these movie reviews, feel free to leave a like on the video. Let us know what your thoughts in the comments are down below. You want to see next ones when we check out more Yorgos movies or whatever movies may come out in the near future, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, find out when we go live with this stuff, and we will catch you next time.